Previously on Bay Streets.
In general, why do you believe that sexual assault and domestic violence is so prevalent in the world that we live in? Like through the clients that you've worked with, or your just understanding of the topic in general?
I will say that we have a lot of miseducation, and just be honest, we have a lot of broken people. And then hurt is the saying, hurt people hurt people. A lot of times, someone that is an abuser dealt with the abuse at one form or another in their lifetime, whether it was through a parent, a guardian, whatever. They've dealt with it on their own, and they in turn become abusers. But we don't talk about it enough. It's one of those subjects somewhat taboo. Like if I start talking, if we were to have a conversation and you just met me and I start talking about domestic violence and sexual assault, most people get uncomfortable. A lot of men get very uncomfortable when we talk about it. I have my thoughts why people get uncomfortable, and these are just my thoughts. My thoughts are some men get uncomfortable because they realize at one point or another they may have abused someone or assaulted someone. I think some women get uncomfortable because maybe they've dealt with it, but they've never really got it out, or they know someone in this situation. Up until my wife and I started this organization, I knew about domestic violence and sexual assault, but it was here. It wasn't in my purview because it wasn't in my circle or someone close to me. But as I started asking questions and peeling back the onion, I realized it was really close to me because I had a family member that was in a domestic violence situation, and I had a family member that was sexually assaulted at a young age. I have a family member that was an abuser. And if we start asking questions, a lot of times we meet people and talk to people, we ask these superficial questions. Oh, where you from? What you study school for? Especially if you get into a relationship. I want to ask questions. Tell me about your family history. One of the questions I always pose to men to go back and ask every single woman in their life that's close to them, what are your experiences with domestic violence or sexual assault? And a lot of them answer. You will be shocked. While they may not have a personal story, they know someone that does. We were just on the campus of Elon University on Sunday for the new student orientation for freshmen. And we had our table set up, and there was a lot of stuff going on. One young lady looked like she was about 18 years old, came up to the table, tell me about what this is. And she started sharing. She was just assaulted a month ago, out of the country. She's not seeing a therapist right now. She's not ready to see a therapist. So I got up, let my wife continue to talk with her, because sometimes some women are not going to feel comfortable talking with the man about the subject. So I let her hold space with my wife and share what was going on, what happened with her. So that's someone that's going to probably end up a client, but it happens everywhere. Like right now, everybody's going back to school on our universities. We're in what we call the red zone. The red zone in college is that first semester before your fall break, more sexual assaults happen on campus than any other time of the year.
Why?
Why? Alcohol. You got a lot of young people leaving home for the very first time and have no guardrails around them, so they can do whatever they want, run around. And then you have some individuals that have not been taught what consent is, have not been taught to keep their hands to themselves. It's just a lot of other factors. And then inside that red zone, there's young men that have been assaulted as well. But most young men are not going to say, I was sexually assaulted. That's not something we're going to talk about. We're not going to open up and say, oh, I was sexually assaulted. I had a gentleman, he is about 6'4", 6'5", 260 pounds. After, building a relationship with him, he shared with me that he was sexually assaulted. He shares that I will not wear a jersey of this certain team because I had that jersey on when I was assaulted. So I can't stand that team now. And I never thought about that. That was a trigger for him. A trigger was that uniform for that team. Triggers can be sights, sounds, smells. Anything can be a trigger.
So you talked about how young men or men in general, when the topic of sexual assault comes up, they get embarrassed, they close in, and women who have been sexually assaulted, they also fear to speak about that publicly. So they kind of like hold this weight, this emotional weight,
Oh yeah.
all their lives, or the rest of their lives. So like my question to you is, how can untreated sexual assault affect somebody emotionally, spiritually, physically?
It can stunt them in so many ways, and I've seen it firsthand. You see some people turn to alcohol, some people turn to drugs, some people turn to promiscuity, some people that have been assaulted in churches, let's just be honest, that won't ever go back because it's been untreated.
Introducing Shining Light in Darkness, raising awareness to sexual assault and domestic violence.
Yeah, we were limited. Wherever you see a flag, we know that there is probably an enslaved person entombed. Okay.
Oh wow.
And the reason is because the enslaved did not have stones and all of that. They had rocks and stones, and so they normally put their stones down to indicate this is where I buried someone. So wherever you see a flag, we know that is an indication that's where someone was buried. We don't know who they are, obviously, but we know they're members of the enslaved. And the reason we know that is because of the width and the depth of the indenture in the ground. So we know this is an enslaved grave and not a European grave, because enslaved was just buried, maybe wrapped in cloth or whatever the family member may have had, but they were not, in most cases, were not entombed in a box.
A little bit about enslaved graves, right? These stones also may not turn up a body or anything, right? They might represent, closure because a family member was sold, right? Something else might have happened. So you'll see, like in some, you'll see like a cluster. And again, this is all an active research site, so we are learning as we go, right? So I might say it differently tomorrow. Please understand that. But the takeaway here is you'll begin, and the ground will start to talk to you, right? And you will see these stones. And we're able to know that these stones just didn't happen here, right? Because they seem to be dug and placed into the ground, not just on top of the ground, right? But deep set into the ground. And again, like she said, these stones are found over at Stagville and also Penny's Bend, right? So about 2 miles in either direction, not here.
gosh, look at these okra. I cannot believe this. We just harvested them yesterday.
Yes, we did.
Oh, I love okra. Oh gosh, they're so healthy for you. Do you know that okra actually is considered an antibiotic?
Wow.
I mean, it helps with and it helps with your bones even. I love them.
Is it good for pregnant women?
Yes,
Huh.
yes they are. But you know, girl, if you give me some fried okra, you know I am in heaven. Do you hear me? Ooh.
Cook the okra in the oven.
Oh no.
No, you got to pickle it.
Oh.
Well, now that's another put garlic in it.
Oh
also.
yes.
Yeah. And
Girl.
we grew our own
I
garlic.
even heard
Yeah.
that somebody wanted some okra leaves.
Yeah. Now you know I haven't tried the okra.
Hello,
leaf,
everyone.
but-
For those of you who are new to my
Collard
channel,
greens,
welcome.
yeah.
And for those of you who are subscribed to Jay Speaks, thank you so much and welcome back. As you know, it is my mission, it is my passion to bring to you all conversation topics that are positive, motivational, educational, and informational. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to be here with Delphine Sellers, Lucille Patterson, Justin Woolley, Anaya Bourne, and Zay Collins, and to introduce you all to Urban Community AgriNomics, commonly known as UCAN. UCAN is a nonprofit founded April 29, 2016, by sisters Delphine Sellers and Lucille Patterson. This organization reflects their desire to engage the community of Northern Durham with skills based in agriculture and providing a place for those within the community to have access to fresh fruit and vegetables. It is UCAN's mission to improve the health and the wellness of their community. Their programs provide education on healthy lifestyles, seed-to-table food preparation and preservation, and hands-on STEM and agricultural skills. All in all, UCAN empowers Durham families with access to resources to grow their own healthy foods using sustainable practices in a supportive environment. Ladies and gentlemen, please sit back, relax, and most importantly, listen. And hopefully after today's episode, you'll understand for yourself why UCAN is committed to growing communities one seed at a time.
Oh yeah. We've been growing communities one seed at a time. All right. Growing communities one seed at a time. One seed. Growing communities one seed at a time. One seed.
So Delphine, Lucille, Anaya, Justin, Zay, it's truly a pleasure to be here with all of you. As I was telling you earlier, this is our largest interview, 5 people. Before it was 3, so this is very exciting. But before we officially get started to talk about UCAN, please take this opportunity to talk to me. Look at the camera if you want. Who are you all? What's your role within UCAN? How long have you been working here? I don't want to take it away from you, but please, a brief introduction. And after that, if one of you want to just give a brief synopsis of UCAN, that would be great. So I guess we can start with Delphine.
Sounds wonderful, and welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here at the Catawba Trail Farm. It is always our pleasure. I'm Delphine Sellers, co-founder and executive director. So back in the day, this was a brainchild. As a retired county extension director, it's like at 62, I'm too young to sit at home. I've seen a lot of disparities and needs within this community. What can I do? And the thing was start a garden. Teach people how to be resilient, how to do for themselves. So, and then especially coming from a family of what, 10 children?
10.
Raised by my mom and grandfather, you learn to be resilient. So we put to use all that she taught us, and with my being the 7th child, I keep asking because sometimes I get the numbers mixed up.
Number 7.
And she's number 8. It's kind of like we're gonna lead this way. We're gonna start something, and we're gonna let her legacy move on. So from Eastern North Carolina, we hail here now in Durham, North Carolina, and we are blessed to be on this farm called the Catawba Trail Farm.
Being the 8th child, I was a follower for a little while. When she left me and went away, I had to pave my own way. Went into agriculture. Once I came here to Durham, started a garden. One garden led to another garden. And we retired the same year. It's amazing, but we did. I will tell you, when we came out here, I was the first to say she lost her mind. It was a mess. wait till you see the website. But Father Time has passed, and look at it now. It has gone from the ugly duckling to a beautiful swan.
And I tell her it was beautiful to begin with. You got to see the beauty in all the mess and all the torn
Yeah.
down buildings, all the fallen trees.
The opportunity.
The opportunity was there. So when she said I bumped my head, I just look at her and say, yeah, I did, but you came along with me anyway, didn't you?
It's called Hear That Voice, okay?
Okay. Okay.
You want to pass the mic to Anaya?
Oh, I'm Anaya Bourne. I'm the UCAN's Assistant Director for Content and Marketing. So I create all their marketing materials and their photos and videos. And I've been with UCAN for about 7 years now. So I joined their team about a year to a year and a half of their journey here at the Catawba Trail Farm.
Justin Woolley, Associate Director here at UCAN. Started off as a volunteer and then went to become a board member and, drank some more of that good UCAN Kool-Aid and, asked if I could join the wonderful staff here. And it's been 3 years now.
Hi everyone, I'm Zay Collins and I am UCAN's intern and youth coordinator. So I work a lot with the children, specifically on Saturdays and Fridays, which is so fun. And UCAN has been amazing to me in my journey, and I started in 2023.
Back to me. I didn't introduce my role. I am Lucille Patterson, co-founder, volunteer coordinator, and garden coordinator here at the Catawba Trail Farm.
Awesome. So you two in particular, you spoke briefly about it before, earlier, I should say. So what was this property before the transition? You talked about the dilapidated, I guess scenery, buildings. What resided here before UCAN?
Yeah. It depends upon how far you want to go back.
Please.
I mean, originally, this was Native American land, as we all know. In this area, we're talking the Ochinichi, the Saponi, and the Eno. I mean, those were the Native Americans that actually dwelled in this area. Then you had the Europeans to come and discover America. Okay, I say that facetiously, but I do say it. And the Europeans came, and then following the European coming to this land, they they brought slavery. So it was a former slave plantation, even before UCAN became. So if we move a little bit further, then it became a homestead, okay? And then probably about 70 years before we actually took possession of the property, it was just abandoned. That's the reason it had not been anybody touched it in those over 70 years. There were buildings torn down. There was high grass. There was everything. To me, it was beautiful because I saw the vision. And I always tell people that when I walked on this land, I'm not ashamed to say it, I did not realize that it was formerly a enslaved plantation. But I walked on this property and my words was, oh my goodness, I am at home. This is where I'm supposed to be. And my sister's actual words to me was, you know, bumped your head. It's like, no, I haven't. There's something about this land that is calling me. There's something about this place that gives me a feeling of somebody said, what took you so long? And she says to me, girl, we only have $250 in the bank. What we're going to do? I don't know, but we're going to do it. And that's how the story began, if I can say that.
So do you have any experience with refurbishing buildings or refurbishing any type of what sparked that curiosity to want to venture into something like this? Like, when somebody looks at dilapidated buildings and just debris, most people are turned off by that. Especially, it sounds like your sister, but what did you have any prior experience with, taking something in shambles and refurbishing it? Like, what made this property the start of that vision or that?
I think it was the fact that she wanted access to land to start a garden. And that was a lot of our history, our growing up on a farm. I mean, from sun up to sundown. So one of the first things that we did was to clear the land for a garden. And from there, it took shape. I mean, we had people to come and help do something about the buildings, take the buildings down. And if you look around now, you know, what's happening now has been fast forwarded. But to me, it was that access that she asked for.
Yeah, but it goes much deeper than that. You've got to realize that I'm retired as a county extension director here in Durham County. So I had gone through not a building that was in total disarray, but I had gone through the process of renovating an old extension building into a new extension building. And prior to that, it was actually the first county community outreach coordinator. So that means you dealt with the city, you dealt with the county, you went to neighborhoods where there were buildings that were in disarray,
Okay.
and you talked with people about, you know, my water doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. You all are having us living in slum areas. So I saw all of those things, and I got to listen to people to say, you know, we can do better, we're going to do this, even though they didn't always keep their promises. So when I came here and I saw this building, it was just like, I've seen this before. You know, I've seen this before. But I also had a feeling that we could do better. There's something we can do with this. It's going to take time. I know enough people who know enough people who know enough people that what I don't know, I can ask about. You know, they may not give me, and I'm not asking for money. They may not give me, you know, materials. All I want is information. Knowledge is power. And I'm one of those persons that I will research you to death. And I tell you how you can do it, not necessarily how it will be done. But don't think you're coming to me and you're going to tell me how to do something that I haven't already researched it before. I might not know all the ins and outs, but I'd have enough common sense to say, in order to engage with someone, you got to know what you're talking about. I might not know everything about it, but you got to have enough sense to engage with them on a very logical and knowledgeable basis. That's who I am. So, yeah. Put something before me and tell me I can't do it. I'm kind of like my mama. Tell me I can't do it.
Is.
Yes,
So
I can.
so it sounds like you had that trained eye.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you had that grit about you.
Yeah.
Interesting. So was it hard? Was it challenging to, I guess, impart your vision on others? You said that you know a person who knows a person who knows a person. I mean, it's great to have a community. It's great to have a network.
Yeah.
But I mean, your network can lose its significance if nobody can see.
You help them to see.
You help them to see.
You paint the picture. You have to talk about the vision. This is where we are right now. This is what we want to do. Can't you see it? I can hear myself saying that to somebody. Can't you see it? Can't you see? Just take a look at it, what this can be, what that can be. Man, we can do this. It might take a little bit of time, but you've got to be convincing. And convincing, to be convincing for me is I got to believe and be committed to what I'm saying. And I'm not going to say anything to you. I'm not going to share anything with you. I'm not going to help you see a vision that I don't really believe in. But you got to hear the passion and the truth and the we can do itness in my talking with you. And people hear it. And they you know, they come on board and they like what we do. And then when you got people behind you, you know, taking pictures and talking the same talk and walking the same walk, you know, it's a go.
Yes,
Is it good? Yeah, and is it going to be easy? Oh no, now I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you that. But if you stick with it and people see that you stick with it during the hard times and during the easy times, then they'll come on board with you. You know, they're that encouraging smile. So,
I'd like to add something to that. She spoke about a vision, right? Early on, this property, right, that was abandoned for 70 years, all of this was overgrown, right? And, you know, for me coming in and volunteering and then being on the board and, you know, wanting to change my career path, you know, there was a reason behind that, right? So we have a motto: I can, we can, you can. So that day one when they came out here with hand saws.
Wow.
So imagine all of this overgrown, trees everywhere. None of this was here, except. So day one was hand saws, right? So not a chainsaw, not a bulldozer, not any kind of heavy equipment. And when you come across somebody that has a vision, right, that would allow them to take a handsaw to a forest, right, in order to engage with the mission of fighting food insecurity, sign me up. And that goes back to, like how we get so many volunteers, right? We do a great job of being able to allow them to see what we see. We see something better, right? Yes, there's a history here. Yes, this used to be a part of a plantation system. Yes, there are enslaved bodies here. And yes, probably for those 70 years, right, America went through a slum, right, to where people didn't want to go out and farm, right? Right. And even going back further, they had to, farm because they had to. Right? We're doing it because we want to. And I know for me, when I engaged, when I was able to see that vision, we can, you can.
We can.
Wow. So please, anyone, talk about the earlier challenges. You talked about, the handsaw, starting off with the property looking the way that it looked with, not the most robust equipment. But I'm sure that there were other challenges in getting this property started. Please
Yeah.
talk about that.
I'm going to share one, and then I'm going to pass it on to somebody who's going to tell you what they did to help us with it. One of the earliest challenges was when we built this garden. We got volunteers, people who came for a day and wanted to build a bed. But when we built this garden and decided this is a 47 plus raised community garden bed, we want to plant in every one of them. We want community people to be able to learn to grow their own vegetables in every one of them. For the first year, almost 2 years, we planted in every one of these beds, okay? For almost that first year and a half, we literally watered this garden by filling 21 5-gallon buckets of water on the back of my 2009 old black Toyota truck, and every other day watering this garden by hand because you need it to grow. People have to see. So, at the beginning, people weren't vested. How can you be vested when you see an empty garden bed? And then come along who? But Miss Anaya. I got to give it to you. Anaya, tell them, because I can't tell your story. You tell it better than I can.
Well, I was introduced, to UCAN about a year and a half into their journey through Miss Antoinette Joyner. She was serving on their board, and she was my former high school teacher. And she knew I was pursuing a career in, I guess, marketing and photography and videography. And she shared with me that Delphine was looking for someone to, capture the journey for the organization she was starting. So I came out here on that first day to snap pictures with Delphine and their board of directors. And just like Justin was saying, as soon as I came out here and heard Delphine and Lucille's mission, and I just fell in love with both of them, and then just the journey and mission that they had behind UCAN. So then I started snapping pictures of their journey to just accurately depict and share the work that they were doing for the community and with the community. And at that time, there were small teams, so they were both wearing a lot of hats, being the volunteers, also being the executive director, having to maintain the relationships that they already had, build new relationships. So it was no way they can also pull out their camera and take videos and pictures and create marketing materials at the same time while doing all the work that you need to do at the beginning to build the foundation of the organization. So I was really happy to be able to come out here and capture their journey and share their story because it's been beautiful. I'm glad I've been able to help them grow and get more volunteers and more connections. Yeah, it's been a great journey. Not always easy, but definitely beautiful to capture and see how far they've come and how the property has changed.
Any other challenges?
Well, we've had plot owners come and we've had plot owners to go. But even in that retrospect, I have a 15 deep waiting list of people wanting to join us at the garden. So as plot owners leave, the names are being added to a waiting list and they will start anew in 2025. So there have been challenges, but the harvest is always plenty. Plenty. And the laborers are plenty. So normally it's just the opposite, but it's already been alluded to. Volunteers, we have volunteers wanting to come even when it rains. So the skies have opened up, and he wants to make this what he wants to make it, and he's allowing it to happen.
I would say a challenge that I think is common in general is like the weather, the heat, the bugs. Those are some things that are like common challenges when you come out to the farm, especially when you're not used to it. So when I first came out, I was like, I love being outside, but it's so many more bugs that you see when you come out here, and I'm like, what is this? What is that? And so I think that that's something that's challenging, and also like with staff and teams in general, you're not always going to agree. You're not always going to get along. So I had to learn, like, okay, how do we navigate our issue at hand, or how do we come to a compromise on a certain thing, like whatever it may be. And I think that part is it's fulfilling because we still operate as a family. And even though you might fuss, you might fight, we always know how to come together and put on our game face when it's time to go out and to meet the people and have our volunteer days or have events that we have to go outside and do. And we know how to show up for one another, even when we have personal issues within our individual families. We still are making sure that we're supportive of one another and things like that. And I think also another challenge is the support. You would think that, people will want to support us all the time, especially of our own color, and that's not always the case. As they say, all skin folk ain't your kinfolk. And but overall, in general, like you really learn that you can persevere and you can overcome if you keep enduring and not stopping. You can't quit.
Okay. And I'm gonna just add finances is always a challenge. Right now, I'm the grant writer, and so as the grant writer for the organization since day one, I've got to do all that I can to keep my foot where I want my foot, and that is on this land. So I'm not able to get out as more out here at the farm as I want to. I'm jealous of them because I'm stuck at home behind a computer. But that finances is needed to repurpose some of these buildings. I mean, we're talking and turning an old mill house into a central facility so we can get back to teaching people how to cook, how to can. We're talking turning that old facility into an office. We're talking you need money because I can't do it and I just don't know nobody else who would do it so that we could have wells on this property. We needed money to bring in electricity. I mean, from day one, we needed money in order to build that Native American trading path that you drove up here on. So, so that you didn't come up here and get stuck every time. We needed money in order for somebody to come and help us get rid of some of the trash that was here. Now, I wish I knew then what I know now, because some of that trash I would have kept. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't really true trash. It just looked like it at the time. But you need money for that. You need money to turn an old corn crib into an intergenerational house where the young and the old can sit there and learn to value each other and entertain each other and tell stories and ask questions of each other. You need money to turn an old millwright building, and that's what we think it was, a building where they made tools, where they made repair tools. You need money to turn that into a welcome center that has a museum that shares the history of this land, that shows some of the artifacts that we've been able to find, such as that nail that was made by hand in 1800s. Do you understand? To show as you moved on, here's a part of one of the first chainsaws that was ever invented. I didn't know what it was, but an elder came up and told me, that's part of an old chainsaw that they used back in the 20s and the 30s. It's like, oh, okay, let's hold on to that. Or that push button washing machine. It's like, so you need money for those things. So finances have been a challenge. When we started off with a $10,000 grant that was given to us, and I'm gonna call his name, and I hope he's still around. His name was Alfred Mays, and he was with the Burroughs Wellcome Corporation. He gave us an ad hoc grant. We went and we did a presentation to him in his office, and he said to us, we were just beginning. We don't have the money. I mean, you don't meet the criteria for our grant, but you know what? I got a pot of money over here, which is called ad hoc monies that I can control. We're going to give you $10,000. Make that $10,000 make you some more money. Okay? Put that $10,000 to work. That was a challenge. Nobody's ever said it to me. Now, I've had to raise money, but it's like, okay, we can do this. We did. We did. Because, you know, it's not necessarily that the grant started coming in or anything along that line, but the encouragement was there. You need that. You sometimes just for somebody to say, you know what, I hear you. You can do it. I believe in what you're saying. That takes you sometime further than money, because it says, you know, today, Lord, I'm tired. Okay, today I've done all I can do, and you know what He says to you: lay your head down, sleep, believe, get up in the morning. It's a brand new day. And you know what? I get up that next morning, and I say, okay, it's a brand new day. Girl, think about yesterday. Think about the good things. Don't think about where you want to go. Think about where you are and where you've been and how you got here. So, yeah, I'm an encourager. I believe. I don't believe in nothing else. I got to believe, and I do believe. I believe that what we're doing and the mission and the people that I've been fortunate to surround myself with are people who were meant to be part of this journey. And I believe that this journey is, can I say it? It's almost like it's ordained, you know, because as they say, this wasn't our first rodeo. We have somebody else. We have other organizations, and I'm not calling any names because they're still trying to create a humongous community garden. Broke my heart when they told me they didn't need me anymore, because, you know, they didn't realize how hard it is.
They know now.
You know? So I look at it this way, and I kind of sometimes go back to it, the fact that it, what's the old saying, Lucille? To him who much is given, what is required, but also He gives you, if you do a lot with a little, what?
Over a minute.
Okay, that's it. That's what I'm looking for.
Come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
Come
That's
on.
what I'm talking about. So this, oh, I know I yell. I get excited because this is my joy. This is my happy place. This is what I love,
And
because
the
I think we're
doors
meant to be here.
Open.
They did.
Thereafter.
They did.
Volunteers came from
They did.
everywhere.
I'm
They
serious.
came from the north, they came from
They
the
did.
south, they came from the east, they
Yeah.
came from the
They
west.
did.
We looked up one day and they were here. No questions asked, no ifs, ands, or buts. What can we do? Let us help you build this garden. And I mean, looking back at the pictures of people just standing in the wooden boxes as they were trying to build them. And I mean, it just, it's almost overwhelming.
Awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it happened.
It is.
And if it had not happened, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Can I add to that? 47 raised bed community garden. That's 47 different families.
Yeah.
Don't miss that part. All right. We do a monthly food distribution. Right, in North Durham, we're giving away boxes of fresh fruits and vegetables. Right. So had we not had these two as our leaders, right, overcoming all of those challenges, right, then we wouldn't be able to pass out, right, food free, fresh,
Not
wholesome, North Carolina grown,
and eggs.
yes, right. You know, helping people to be able to save money. That's that AgriNomics piece, right? You know, one of those struggles that we had to overcome. Like, there was nobody to help, right? So we had to lay the infrastructure. She spoke about 2 wells, all right, electricity, all right, internet, everything that, you know, to go somewhere else, you don't really think about. It was thought about, right? And we're able to attract volunteers because they see our output, right? They see that the youth garden, right, you know, in whatever small way, right, because we build community one seed at a time, those kids are learning, right? So I just want to make sure that, you know, we're able to understand the output, right, that UCAN has.
Wow. So perseverance seems to be the bedrock of your story.
Yeah.
And through your perseverance and your discipline and seeing it through, it just garnered attention, eyes, and support.
Yeah.
Wow.
In more ways than one.
In more ways than one. Like you said, north, south, east, west, volunteers. But I do want to talk about something that you said, food insecurity. What is food insecurity? Why should it be important to all of us? And you kind of talked about this a little bit, but, you know, how has UCAN helped to reduce food insecurity within their local community? So
when we do the monthly food distribution, I collect the data, and we average 400 individuals, okay? Because we add up the number in the family per month.
400 individuals?
Yes.
So you serve 400 individuals?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Because if you came up and I asked you how many is in your household, that will determine how many boxes you get. And when I get home, I sit down at my computer and I add the numbers up. And that's where I get the total. There are so many food deserts in Durham. Prior to us coming here, we did food distribution at another location. And at that location, we were not given the credit for the distribution. So we decided that we would move it here on site. And believe it or not, the people come. Okay. Even though it was at a prior one. Um, it's just, it's amazing how many hungry people are out there.
Let me go a little bit further and answer your question in terms of what is food insecurity. Food insecurity is not necessarily not having access to food, but it's not having access to healthy, nutritious food that builds the body and not destroys the body. I mean, in many corners, every corner you can find I'm from the country, Eastern North Carolina, so I call everything a 7-Eleven. You know, one of those convenience stores. You can go in there and you can buy processed foods. You can go to McDonald's and buy processed food. That's not healthy. That does not build the body. That does not prevent health issues that are preventable. It does not help you to heal health issues that you have. That is food insecurity. Food insecurity is not having a supermarket on your corner that sells nutritious food. It's not having one, not necessarily in your corner, but in your community. That's food insecurity. How do we combat it? We combat food insecurity with at least once a month by giving people North Carolina grown fresh fruits and vegetables. All of it comes from the state of North Carolina. The majority of it comes from small farmers. Do you understand? So you're building the economics of that small farmer who is trying to struggle and trying to make it. And you're helping him or her as well. But then you're taking that vegetables and what they grow in a healthy manner. Because when you go with a small farmer, you know what in North Carolina, you know what they're putting on those seeds. You know what they're putting on those vegetables. You know that they're not coming to you all covered with wax and everything that make them. You know they're not doing all that. You know what a fresh apple tastes like. You know that celery that when you put in that refrigerator, it's gonna last you for a couple of weeks. You think I'm lying? It really is. It's gonna be there and it's gonna be good. It's not gonna be like it was when it came out that store. That's how we combat food insecurity, by giving people access to healthy, locally grown food that you know is grown in a healthy way, that is not grown with a lot of pesticides and herbicides and fertilizers that don't give back. You know, when we give eggs, you can look at that egg. Take that egg that we give you and go to the grocery store and look and buy an egg. I dare you, crack them side by side and tell me which one's yolk look yellow, huh? And then fry it. You can scramble it. You can do it whole. I don't care. But then, or you can even boil it. I love it that way as well. Then taste them. You will never go back if you can help it, you know. And then the other part about food insecurity is we need to get people out of those cans. I have nothing against canned vegetables. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't, because they helped me through the years because they're the food that I had. But there's nothing like learning to can your own food. People think there's a science, that it's rocket science. It's easy. It's easy. So we teach people that too. How to can and preserve, and I use the word can because I'm from the country, you know, preserve. But how do you do that? I want to show you how to do it. Well, I'm a diabetic. I'm going to show you how to do it for diabetics. It's not all that. It's not rocket science. And people are really saying, oh, is that it? Oh, God, that jam tastes better than any that I ever bought to. I know it does. And guess who did it? You did it. You know what I mean? So when you get up in the morning, you open that jar of jam or jelly and you put it on your toast, you can sit there and cross your leg with a sense of pride and say, you know what? I did this.
Yep.
You know, and you can say, I can go to the store now and I know how to go and buy a small pack of blueberries, a small pack of strawberries, and I can take that one pack and I can make 6 half pints, 6 ounces or 8 ounces or whatever they are of jam. We can do that tonight, kids. You know.
I want to add something also to that. That agronomics piece, right? When we're talking about food insecurity, food security, food insecurity, right? There's a dependence, right? When you are not growing your food, right? So we're not just trying to, give people access, right? We also want to encourage them, right? As you said, you can do this too. You can, right? And then you have an interdependence, right? And then you're able to save that money. So there's a cost savings, right, to gardening, to agriculture, right? And also just lowering your stress, right? Because when you're outside and you're getting, many people are vitamin D deficient. They're not outside, right? Well, gardening takes you that, right? To be able to put your hands back in that soil, to understand, a lot of those gardens, right, get good rain, right? So you have so much more that you have access to if somebody would take the time and show you, and that's what UCAN, right, does.
I also want to add like an act of resistance and resiliency that we do with the youth is teaching them how to plant their own fruits and vegetables. It's really an honor to watch 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds come out and learn about how to do it and the excitement that they have. And not only that, but they come out with their parents, their grandparents, friends, and that creates a sense of community. And as people of color, it's important that we get back to community, to serving one another, because we can't always expect the outside people to come in and help us and, like you said, be dependent on them. Why not be dependent on one another? Why not lean on each other and bring back that sense of love and community? And also, when you start it young in the children, they'll begin to develop those skills. So as they get older, they continue to pass those skills down to their children and their children. And now we done created a successful generation that knows how to support and be dependent upon themselves and one another, and not have to depend on someone else who may be secretly against them or don't want them to have the proper access to food of nutritious value.
So if someone, I can talking to you. So if someone was interested, or if someone was interested in growing their own garden,
Yes.
What tips or insights would you share on how to go about that, especially if they have limited green space? Like, how would you go about that?
Yeah, so you can get like a bucket. You can put your dirt inside the bucket. If you have a balcony outside, a porch that gets good sunlight, I would say, depending on what you're planting, you can use that as a resource and as a tool. I would also say you can go to the store and literally buy some seeds, and on the back it will tell you step by step what you need to do. It'll tell you how you need to plant it, how you need to water it. It's not hard. And I think that's the piece with Miss Delphine is like, the mission behind what she's doing here and what we do at UCAN is to teach people it's more accessible than you think. I think because of slavery, we have this mindset of like crab in the barrel in the bucket and stuff. And we think that, oh, we can't tell each other and we got to be like gatekeepers of information. But the more you are making it accessible to each other, the more you realize, wait a minute, we all can do this. We all can have a hand and a part to play in. When you go to Walmart, you don't see just one bread. You see multiple varieties of bread. That means everybody has a lane and everybody has a purpose, and we all can live and walk out that purpose. So I would say that, and I also would say just do a little research. What do you want to grow? Because it's better to plant sweet potatoes during June, July than it is if you plant it in December. Baby, you ain't gonna get no sweet potato in no December. So knowing what seasons to plant your stuff in will be the first tip. And I don't know. What else would you say?
I don't have it.
Well, we did have a green bucket gardening program that Delphine introduced, and you want to elaborate?
Yeah, our green bucket gardening program really is to deal with if you don't have any land. So all is very simple. All you take is a 5-gallon bucket. It just so happens it's green. And we put holes in it, in the bottom and all around it. And you fill it with soil, rich compost with rich soil. And what do? You select a plant, especially in the summertime. You might select a tomato plant, a pepper, green bell pepper plant, and you plant it in there, and we tell you how to water and how to take care of it. That's your green bucket. You grow your own, you take it home, you set it in on your stoop. If you live in the city, you set it on your balcony. You set it outside of your porch, or you set it on the side of the apartment building because they don't mind. It's in a container, it can't be moved. And you grow it and you nurture it and you grow vegetables. It's not enough to fill your freezer, but it's something that you feel good about because you can say, what? Oh, I grew that. Mom, the tomatoes, everybody, the tomatoes we're eating tonight, guess who grew them? You can say it with pride as a child, or you can say it as pride as an adult. But then I turn around and I say to you, just because the summer's over with, don't throw that bucket away with that soil in it. Go get you a couple of collard plants. Plant those collard plants. And we love our collard greens in North Carolina. Plant those collard plants in there. You plant them in there now. By the time Thanksgiving turn to come around, you're going to have enough collard greens for your Thanksgiving dinner. So you can tell everybody sitting at that table, guess who grew these collard greens? Walmart? No, girl, Walmart ain't got nothing on me. I grew these collard greens. So, and then you can take it even in the spring when plant some white potato buds. You can grow your own bucket of white potatoes. So that bucket is going to keep giving. It's going to keep giving. And the other thing that we share people is herbs. You can put herbs in a cup. There's nothing like, what is it, garlic chives? Oh, I love a garlic chive. You put it in there, you snip those green vines off, put them in your green potato, put them in your meatloaf, put them in whatever. It's going to grow back. It's going to grow back. If you got flowers, I love flowers. Yeah, I do too, just like anybody else. But let me plant a tomato in between that rose bush and that whatever that is I got planted out there. Let me plant a pepper right over there where that hedge is, where that azalea is. I love azaleas, but I still love to eat too. You can do this, and people need to understand they can. It's the little things that grow into the big things. And basically what you're doing is you're planting a seed. You're planting a seed of, I don't hate to keep saying it because I'm going to say it. You're planting a seed of I can, you can, we can, I can, we can, you can. You can do this. And you know what? Just because it might not work out the first year or the first time, we're going to try it again. Because you know what? I didn't come into this world knowing everything that I know. I made mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Something I planted didn't grow. So what? I'm going to try it again. Nothing beats a try, not even a fail. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. That's what I was always taught. And that's what I truly believe. Okay.
So have you seen with the more families that you teach and instruct on how to grow their own gardens, have you seen a decrease in people needing fresh fruit and vegetables from you?
No. No.
So the same families that you teach on how to grow their gardens, they also come and...
Not the majority of them. The majority of people who come are not people who own the gardens here. They're not the people that own the gardens here. There's still people. As she just said, we got a 15-person waiting list.
Wow.
But the majority of people that come to our food distribution are not our gardeners. There are other people. There are people in the community who hear about the resource that we provide. I had a lady stop by yesterday, and we've had people to come by the day after to say, "Oh, I thought it was yesterday." I had a lady to come by yesterday when we were out here, and she said, "Now, I need to make sure where it is because I missed the last one." And I said, "Okay, take a picture in the kiosk. These are the proper dates. These are the dates they are. Okay, I'll be here. So you're going to have the next one on when?" And I told her, we do it every fourth Thursday of the month, except for November and December now. There's some change dates. Why are those dates changed? Because we want you to have food before Thanksgiving to prepare, and we want you to have food before Christmas to prepare. So we change the dates for those 2 months. So no, there may be some, but the majority are people who don't have the gardens.
And some of the people, like, some of them are plot owners and they have children. Their children will plant in our youth garden. They'll also plant in the mom or the parent will have a plot in the main garden, and then they'll also have gardens at home. Because honestly, when it comes to fruits and vegetables, it's still a process in its growing stages. It doesn't just happen overnight. So I think that's one thing. And another thing is that when you come to UCAN, it's a certain environment and vibe that you get when you come. So sometimes when we have our volunteer days, like on a Saturday, and everyone comes out, it's like a big family reunion almost. So sometimes it's not even just coming out to plant and garden. Sometimes it's just about community and being around people. One lady, she had like lost her mother, I think, and she had a hard week. So when she came to UCAN on our volunteer day, it lifted up her spirits, and people were hugging on her, loving on her, and we didn't even know that she was going through it. And she happened to mention it to me and say, like, thank you, like today was good. I had just lost my mother, and it helped me get through. And sometimes that can be the bigger purpose in it. And I think when God is at the center of stuff and we allow him to lead, the way things come together, you could never think it or imagine that it would happen the way it does.
I'm sorry. I get emotional because it's so true. I mean, the impact that we have on people's lives, you know, and I probably have said this already, but there is more to health and wellness than nutritious food. If I said it once, I'm going to say it again. There is more to health and wellness than nutritious food. It's having access to open green spaces. It's having access to people who are not judging you for who you are, what you look like, what you think, what you dress, who you love, any of those things. It's people who accept you for you. It's having access to a place where you can walk off and sit in the woods, and you can walk the trails, and you can commune with God or whomever it is that you believe in. That's what this is all about. Yes, the food, but it's somewhere that you can bring your traumas. You can come and release your traumas, and nobody's going to bother you. With volunteers, I say to them, I always do say, you can come here and you can work. But if you come here and all you do is go over there and sit on that bench, and you sit there for an hour or two, and don't get me emotional, Lord, you can sit there for an hour or two, and then all that you're going to do is, after sitting there, you're going to get up and you're going to walk away. I say, you know what? You received what you came here for. It wasn't to talk to people. It wasn't to do anything but to say, okay, God, I'm here. Okay, nature, I'm here. Okay, world, I'm here. I just need to breathe. You just needed a place to breathe. And I say to them, you might not have come and volunteered and worked in the soil today, but when you come back the next time, you're going to be better. And then you're going to work in the soil. Then you're going to sit and talk with people. But at this moment, at this time, you just needed to be able to come someplace where you felt the healing spirit of this land. And you hear our ancestors. And that's the way I look at it. You hear our ancestors say, okay, because I sometimes even say to people, sometimes I can walk this land, and I used to hear, not so much anymore, but I used to hear my ancestors say, girl, what took you so long? What took y'all so long? We've been waiting for you. And it's like, okay. And when I come out here during the day in my old truck, and I'm out here, I don't have the radio on, I don't have anything, I just roll down the windows and I listen. Because the voices are talking to me. They're talking to me and they're saying, we're pleased. And I say, I know you, I feel you are, because I know that we couldn't have done it without you. Those spirits, we couldn't have done it without you, because you've been here helping us all along. And I know that. I feel it. Ask me how I know. I just know. You feel it in your spirit. You feel it in who you are. So I'm going to be quiet, y'all, because you have me preaching a little bit. You know that.
No, thank you for sharing. Thank you. So I do want to talk about volunteers. Clearly, this property operates heavily on volunteers. So what are some typical, I guess, duties or assignments that a volunteer would have to maintain the integrity of this property?
Volunteerism. We pull weeds, we mow grass, we move mulch, we clean out the beds, um, we plant. We just it's an array of things that we do here. Yeah, they do play games, um, but just taking care of the land. I mean, I look at the garden over there, and we had a group the other day, and tell me what you want me to do. You don't have to do anything. They planted, they pull weeds, they move mulch, they helped on the compost, just keeping the grounds accessible, clear, and presentable to everybody that comes. Because I'm sure y'all were shocked when y'all got here today to
Mhm.
see what you saw.
You
Absolutely.
know, but and I'm gonna add one thing about with volunteers and even with staff. We've got to remind people we're stewards of this land.
Yes, we are.
You know, we've been honored to become stewards of this land. So that means then we have to honor this land. We need to take care of this land. We don't need to defile the land. So when, as a volunteer, you need to know that every seed you plant has to be planted for nourishment of everyone else, not just humans, but for our pollinators. You know what I'm saying? So you got to know how it connects with the pollinators. We need the bees. We need the butterflies. You know, don't kill that wasp. You know, just leave them alone. I talk to them, and I usually say, leave them alone. And they do go. Now I haven't mastered that technique with the mosquitoes, but I have with the other ones. But it's that too. You need to know the river that runs on this land. I mean, we need to know that we need to make sure that we're not putting pesticide because it runs off into our water. Let's keep it. We want that beautiful water that we know that we have. The trees that we have, oh yes, we want to keep them. We're looking to clear an acre of land because we need more space for more gardens. But what have we done first thing is volunteers have helped us because we have explained to them why we need to do it. We've first gone in there and we've actually identified all the native plants that we can remove before we go in there and clear that land. We've also have identified all the small native trees that we can dig up and remove and plant in other places on this property or give to other people before we go in there and we push down, we clear that land. We've also gone in there and identified all the trees, especially cedar trees. Do you know all of these buildings were held up by cedar trees all these years?
Wow.
It's almost like a cedar orchard in there. The forefathers knew what they were doing. Cedar will last forever. Not ever, ever, but will last forever. So, we need to harvest those. So anything that Mother Nature has given to us and taken the time to produce, we need to honor her by saying, okay, Mom, we're going to put it back into the development of this land. We're going to put it back into everything that we do. And that's what we explain to people. When they come, when our volunteers, there's something for everybody to do, be it blow leaves because we need them in our compost.
Yep.
To cut the limbs because we're going to mulch them because we need them in our chicken coop. To mow the grass, we're going to collect that grass because it needs to go in our compost. It's part of that green. And the chickens love to scratch it. They love it. So everything that's here that nature has given to us that makes this land beautiful and fruitful, we are the stewards of it, and it's up to us to make sure that it remains such a resource, not just for today's human beings, today's pollinators, and today's animals, but for tomorrow's as well. So all of it is incorporated. When you tear down that building, we want to use any kind of wood that we can and repurpose in another building. It's not, I get excited because it's exciting to me that the fact that, and people understand that. They understand it. They understand why we're doing this, why we're doing that, and we need to explain it to them. So there's something to do. This is a non-traditional farm. You can learn carpentry. You can learn electricity. You can learn what else? Somebody take this from me because I'd be talking all day. But yeah.
So one of the things with the volunteers, and I'm always impressed with how we connect with our volunteers, right? So we'll meet you where you are, right? And so there is absolutely. So there's repairs that need to happen in any household or farm or business, right? And then there is so fencing, mulching, clearing out trails. But the takeaway is, we're able to share with those volunteers that what you're doing today may seem small to you, right? But it's also making sure that we have that place of healing and calm for that next person, right? And that's what's building that community, right? If nothing else, a wheelbarrow of mulch on a hot North Carolina day, right? But if somebody else can step in, right, and that wheelbarrow, a wheel might break, right? We have a food distribution. We have people out there, right? And we have to have them parking, so we try to have a personal relationship, right, with the team lead that we that have volunteers, but then we also offer individual opportunities every Saturday for volunteers to be able to come out, right? And there are always things to do. So I encourage you to come out.
Always.
So it sounds like every day, a volunteer's, I guess, duties is unique. It's almost on the fly. Whatever is necessary at that time.
No, and some many times we plan it. I
Oh,
mean,
so you
yeah,
plan
yeah,
it.
we plan it. But a
Oh,
volunteer comes out, you owe it to them to be prepared to say, today we're gonna do this. We're gonna mulch the youth garden. We're gonna build raised garden beds. We're gonna do some things in our chicken coop. We're gonna build boxes in our chicken coop. We're gonna what is it, blow the trail, those kind of things. So volunteers like to know that when they come out, you're not standing around saying, what y'all gonna do? What we gonna do with y'all? They want to know that when they come out, there's a list of tasks that need to be done. So that's our responsibility. We have staff meeting every Friday. I know they're getting tired of seeing every Friday, but we meet every Friday and we decide, come up with who's coming out, how big the group is, what it is that need to be done, which group can do this, what age group can do that, those kind of things. Because when you come out, and I've heard people say, y'all are different. When we come out here, you already know what it is we're gonna do. You don't stand around for the first 30 minutes saying what everybody's gonna be doing. You already have tasks laid. I said, yeah, because we value your time. There are 50 million other places you could go, but you chose to come here. So we need to let you know how much we value your time. That's the reason we're organized with what it is that we have to be done.
and for a typical day, how long do volunteers stay on the property?
An average volunteer takes about 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
And then they don't
Yeah.
want to leave.
Yeah.
They don't want to leave.
I know it. So we normally ask you for 3 hours, like 9 to 11, or 9, well, that's 2 hours, but 9 to 12 or 8 to 11, because we change our hours in the summer versus the winter. In the summertime, we start at 8 o'clock. We volunteer. In the winter, we kind of start at 9 to get things to get a little warmer, and there's not as much to do. But afterwards, people just sit around. They talk. It's like, tell me, when have I been home earlier than 2 o'clock on a Saturday? It's kind of like, okay, I haven't. Because, y'all, I got to go. I mean, okay. And unless you just leave, it's kind of like leave company. We don't leave people here, but yeah. But on an average, we ask for 2 hours, and but we ask for an average of 3 hours, because if you've not been here before, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take you on a tour. You need to have a feel for the land that you're on, and you need to know why you're here, because that helps you even more appreciate the work that you do. So
at a time, how many volunteers?
40,
40,
50.
40,
Yeah.
50?
Have
And I guess
greater
each of
than
you would
that.
take 10 of the volunteers, or is it 2 for 25, 25? How does that work?
Well, I'll put it this way. Next week I have 39 coming for a fact. Okay, might be more.
Oh, sorry.
And what I've done is I've divided it up into 3 tasks. So I told a young lady I would like for them to be divided in groups of 13. When one group finishes, I want them to shift over to help the others so that the complete tasks get done. When it comes to the garden, you got somebody shoveling mulch, moving soil, even with the youth that comes, they work in I'm gonna use the word stages, because you have somebody shoveling, you have somebody pulling, you have some over here dumping and spreading. So they work together as a team to get it done.
Yeah. But I think the key to this, and I talk so loud, the key to this is the fact that no, it's just not one. All staff members have a group. They're all staff member every staff member is responsible for one part of what is going on in volunteering. So Lucille may be in the garden helping people plant.
Or the runner.
Or there may be someone over here making sure, because I have to make sure that my teenagers and my young people know how to handle these tools and they're working. If you're working in the chicken coop, I need somebody in there, the chicken coop, to monitor that. So there's always a staff person to supervise whatever the task group is. And sometimes that staff person may have to have more than 2 areas that they're supervising in. And then I will be the first one to admit, I may be here, there, and everywhere. You hear me? I'm here, there, and everywhere. So it may work out that. But no, it's not. It is a division among staff. among the volunteers. It has to be that way.
And we have like honorary
Thank you.
members like
Yes, we
Mr.
do.
Evans,
Oh, yeah,
Mrs. Bonita, who like have been here through the start. Yeah, and they're long-term volunteers, so like they're not necessarily staff, but they know how to operate on the land and different things that we do. So they help as well because we are a small staff, it's 5 of us, but we get it done really well. Yeah.
So for your volunteer days, is there a certain age group, like, or is it, I guess, a 10-year-old can be working alongside a 35-year-old, or?
Yeah, that's that intergenerational learning. Oh, sorry. That's that intergenerational learning. Yeah, they can.
Okay.
And a lot of times when you have volunteers that are not scheduled groups, they're families.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, and the families tend to stick together, or they may come from a particular faith-based organization. They tend to, all know each other, and they're all age groups. And then on some days you might have this is a scheduled group, you may have a group of kindergartners coming from the daycare center. So we already know what we're gonna do with the babies. We're gonna have some activities planned, but they also want to dig in the dirt. I don't care if they are babies. They still want to dig in the soil. They still want to plant. Don't tell anybody that after they leave, I may have to set that plant up a little bit straighter, but at least they did it. You know what I'm saying? I put a little more soil over here, but they did it. So so you come up with activities for kids. And we work with organizations and groups such as a group out of Durham Tech. They create curriculums for us. We work with other with universities. We work with everybody.
Don't turn anybody down.
Don't say I won't.
So how could someone get involved as a volunteer?
Anaya is wonderful at posting on the internet, Instagram. You want to talk about it, Anaya?
Sure. So we have our monthly newsletters that go out every month just to kind of give an update of what's going on and different events or volunteer days to get involved. And also our monthly volunteer newsletter, which specifically gives out our upcoming volunteer tasks and events that we may need volunteers for. And yes, every Friday a post goes out just reminding people that, we're here on our Saturday volunteer day, what tasks we'll be focusing on and the time, because we do switch with the seasons. But we have switched recently this year where we're not doing the first Saturday of the month just to give the staff a break. And also, just our social media platforms and our newsletters is a good way to stay in touch with us with what's going on and how to get involved.
You want to call out your social media platform?
Oh yeah, all of our social media on Instagram is Urban Community AgriNomics, all spelled out. And then on Facebook, it is UCAN Today. And then our website is www.ucan.today.
Awesome.
And then on LinkedIn and YouTube is also just our full name, Urban Community Agronomics.
Oh, you guys have a YouTube? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So I want to just shift a little bit. I want to talk about the budget. So I read we were talking about this in the back while we were walking in the woods, but I read online that you guys had, I should say, an annual budget of $26,000. But now you said it was bumped up to $314,000.
Yeah. We started off with a budget of 10 because we had $10,000.
10. And
then we grew maybe the first year to 26, and now fast forward, we actually have a budget of this year $318,000. That's our budget.
First of all, no.
Yeah. Now, when you think of a budget, what does that budget got to cover? Okay. So we've been doing a lot of capital improvements. We hired staff. Oh, God, wonderful, wonderful staff. And then, so a lot of those monies are what I call restricted funds because they come from grants.
Mm-hmm.
But most people, when they donate, they don't restrict it, but they come from grants. The money that comes from grant mostly is restricted. And some of it is designated for programming. So it's not just, oh, wow, we woke up with a pot of money. But what that to me is the fact that it showed to the belief of the community in what we do. It shows how we've grown. It shows that we've been able to share our impacts through grant writing. We've been able to share our impacts through our annual report and our posting on Instagram and our annual newsletters and Facebook and our presence there. We've been able to show people through presenting at conferences. I'll present at a conference. You give me a chance, I will. We've been able to talk with groups. So, but yeah, we went from a good Lord, if I could get $500, I could do wonders with it, to now we're looking at, over $300,000 in terms of finances during the year.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It really is. It's amazing.
Curious, what was the biggest grant that you were able to lock down?
I think the biggest grant that was 75,000 at one time, and then we've had a couple 50. We had a couple 40s. We've also had not all in one year, but yeah, you got to remember that. 30, 60. I mean, God, God is good. I mean,
good.
I've gone for 300, didn't get it, but that's okay.
We'll try again.
I'm gonna try it again, but yeah, that's the way we do it. So yeah.
Wow. So 26 annually to 314, and you said
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah. And you got to keep in mind too is every penny is not spent every year, so you got some carryovers. So now we're looking for the next phase. The next phase is we want to be able to start investing. And this is a year I said any surplus that we have, we're going to start investing because we want to create what is it called, an endowment, whereby there will always be a way to generate funds to support staff.
Absolutely.
I'm young. I'm only 71. But I retired once. I want to do it again. But I need to know that when I retire, that the hands that I leave it in, I'm not leaving them locked. You know what I'm saying? We're leaving them with a way so that they don't have to struggle, and all the infrastructure is built. But now they can focus on programming. And I always say, if they would allow me, I definitely would serve on the board. And I might write a grant or two, but I'm always here for them. So, yeah, we've been exceptionally blessed. And I there's nothing within my whole body that will ever take that for granted. We've been blessed.
I'm sincerely happy for all of you guys.
Yeah.
And UCAN. I'm so serious. This is amazing.
Thank you.
I do want to talk about some of your programs and your initiatives. I saw on your website that you have a couple programs. I think, was the Green Bucket a program?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you have other programs. You care to talk in detail to our
we have bird watching.
bird watching.
Ask me how many kids do you know how to use binoculars of color and no birds. So we have a bird watching program.
Okay.
One of our board members is heavily involved in that, and we also work with the New Hope Bird Alliance, and that they'll be here on October the 5th to do that. We also have bees. I'm gonna let Justin talk about the bees because he's more into.
Yeah,
bees.
I saw some honey.
Yes. This is our second year that we have harvest honey. The amount of honey we harvest this year is outstanding from what we did last year.
So fruits, vegetables, chicken.
Yeah, chickens
and bees.
And bees. Yeah. Yes. And don't ask me about any more animals. That's it.
Okay.
There will be no pigs, no goats, and no cows. There will be none of those.
So you're stopping at bees.
Oh yes. Yeah. No pigs.
Get out in the sun.
So we have that. We have hiking. Actually, you want to tell them about our hiking program that we're getting ready to, our hiking, overnight hiking.
Overnight?
Camping. Camping. But we do hiking, but overnight camping.
Wow.
All right, and so again, urban community agronomics, right? So what are the ways that our programming, right, can be utilized to sustain the organization, right? And what can we do to be good stewards of the land, right, and also teach people, right? So with our bees, right, it's an opportunity for us to, number one, help young people overcome any fear that they would have with bees. All right, it's not as scary as one would think, but you got to be able to have somebody who can walk you into it, just like you'd feed a dog or a cat, right? There comes a season where you have to feed your bees. So we try to give it to people in small amounts that they can understand. Then also we've done some programming. We came out at night to watch meteors. All right. So again, agronomics, like how can we introduce, people to the outdoors, right, in a safe place? Our hiking and our walking trails. It addresses health disparities, right? So obesity, high blood pressure, just being able to get out and walk, get your heart pumping. But we've also had to create those trails. And we're getting ready to do a camping event with some other local organizations, right? And and this all ties back in, right? So a volunteer opportunity to go out and kind of clear that land and make sure that it's okay, and then for somebody to actually be here and help people to again feel safe, right? Being outdoors, introduce them to something new. We have historic buildings that we are trying to repurpose, right? And we briefly spoke about it, but you can touch one of those square nails from the 1800s, right? And we understand the history of this property, right? So we have a Build Black program, right? To where we know how disproportionate minority business enterprises have been, right? So we're inviting you to come back, to come out here and take a part in building up an organization that is owned, operated, and managed, right, by people of color. And there's skill development with inside of that, right? So that when she spoke about, learning electrical, learning carpentry, learning plumbing, right? So that's what that Build Black program is, right? So it might be that first step, right, to allow you to engage. Is this something for me? Well, maybe I would choose Durham Tech, after that. However my household or family structure was, I didn't know how to change a light bulb. I didn't know how to, change a faceplate, do some drywall, right? Well, that Build Black program is going to allow you to learn those skills, right? And be able to do it, for an organization that is, mission driven. And it just so happens to be that we are managed, operated, owned, and controlled by people of color. All right. So all of our programs are open to everyone, ill dependent upon their race, sexuality, gender. We just want you to be able to come out here, leave your ego somewhere else, and come out here and learn.
We visited the cemetery.
So I'm curious. You spoke about this a little bit of when you talked about the Build Black program, but why the other programs? So like who thought of the other programs and its value? Like why did you pick? I mean those particular programs: hiking, overnight camping, bird watching. I mean you could have picked anything, but you picked those. So I'm just curious why
I
those.
would be, in all transparency, I think some of them were picked because there were things that I am aware of that people of color traditionally would not do. You did not walk in the woods if you expected to come out. At least when in the South, let me put it that way. And sometime even in eastern North Carolina, back in the day, you didn't go in the woods just to be going into the woods because you might not come out of the woods the way you went in. Okay, who had time to watch birds? That was another person's privilege. We didn't have the privilege of doing that. I love birds. I had a collection of every bird when I grew up on cars. Our house burned. I'm serious. I love those cars. I knew every bird. But when our house burned, when I was uh, older, after I graduated, uh, they went. I lost them. But I love birds. But binoculars, me go anywhere and somebody tell you you can go bird watching. Number one, that was off limits to me. Hiking, that was off limits to me. The only time I went in the woods was with my cousins, and when you went in the woods with your group of cousins, and nowadays we would call it our posse, you came out with your posse. You did not stay in there. You know what I'm saying? So all of the things that overnight camping, you camping in the woods, you better be going on your grandpa's property, and your grandpa better know where you are, and you better have a light there because you need to be. If you needed to move fast, you did. That's the world that we grew up in. But so I wanted to expose our kids and especially our young people to opportunities that we didn't have. Why? Because it was not safe. It was not safe. But now here on this land is safe. Okay? Here now you can do this. And here now on this place, you're not gonna be ostracized because what you're trying to be nerdy, or you're not gonna be talked about or any of those negative things because you want to engage in some things that really interest you. But now you can do it. So that was it. And it also board members. There are board members. I have a board member that was interested in birding. So when we needed someone to help us to lead that, along with the New Hope Bird Alliance, she stepped up to the plate. So you find things that people are interested in. One of the programs that we hope to start, hopefully in about a month, is have gardeners who are just know so much about herbs and spices. So we're going to start a program where the gardeners can teach others about what herbs to grow, what to do with hibiscus, what to do with stinging nettles. All I know is it stings. What to do with turmeric, what to do with comfrey, what to do with ginger. So they're going to teach, because those are spices that bring about health and wellness, but they also cost an arm and a leg. And you might not need but a little bit, for the next month. So why am I going to go out and spend $7 out of my meager budget for a jar of spices that I may never use again, because I'm not fixing that recipe anytime soon, but somebody's going to show me what else to do with it to help my family be healthy and wealthy. So that's how it comes back. You listen to people. You listen to people.
I want to say something else too. And it's also being rooted in how can we affect the workforce, right, by being able to tie in this new educational opportunity, right, to where maybe somebody who will come through one of our programs, right, and when we do plant identification, right, they are now getting into conservation, or they're an environmentalist, or maybe the next person to lead the USDA. So we try to think about things from a standpoint of, are there certain communities that are that aren't represented in certain workplaces or workforces, right? And then how can we utilize that urban community agronomics, right, in a way, and be a pathway, right, to new opportunities into a new future.
Wow. Have you guys thought of a cooking class?
Yes, we have.
It's coming.
It's coming. Yes. We are. What do you think?
After the building.
Yes, I know. Yeah, we are. That because we used to. And we would do it at another organization allowed us to do it. That was pre-COVID. So now, since we came here, that's what we're starting back. So we did several classes. People loved it. Canning classes, we did. Another organization, we're bringing that back now. Now we have a kitchen, So yes.
And even with like a lot of the youth's parents, they'll come in and they'll say like, oh, I got plants that I'm growing at home, but it died or it got mold and I don't know what I'm doing. So something that we all spoke to each other about is creating workshops. Mm-hmm. And back to what you asked previously and earlier, these workshops will help teach people hands-on how to do it, and we'll be able to come out here and just work together and learn with each other so that the parents can take what they learn here and implement it at home as well.
And one of the things that has not been mentioned, and you can't see it now, is the beautiful farmers market that is coming up over here to your left. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's gonna, and then I'm gonna be quiet for real. But I keep saying that. But that goes back to the farmers market, our youth garden. I look at our youth garden as being our economic compassion garden, okay? And then you will say, okay, Delphine, what you mean? Economic compassion. So we're going to teach you what you grow, the economics of it. And the economics is, what do I grow? How much do I sell it for at the farmer's market so that it remain accessible? All that goes with it. How do I write a business plan? How do I keep up with what we sell? How do I make sure we're making a profit and we're able to support ourselves? But the compassion side is, don't forget to give. Give some of what you grow back to those who wish they had the ability and or were able to grow for themselves. So that's the compassion side. The compassion side, I'm going to give some away, okay? That's what that is. Even when we clear this 1 acre of land, the goal is to create a re-entry program. So what is a re-entry program? Is we work with individuals who were once incarcerated, but they have an interest in agriculture. So for 3 years, this program will teach you everything about agriculture, best practice agriculture that you ever wanted to know. And these are people who are interested in, they used to be incarcerated. So that's going to be everything from a business plan to customer service to how to do a CSA, all of those things and then some. What to plant, when to plant it, how to harvest it. and how to be good stewards of their land. And then at the end of that period, our mission is to assist you in acquiring access to land where you either can lease it or you have use of it and or to buy it. And we're hoping that what you will do is those who enter this program will formulate a group. So that means you can go out and you can go as a group and buy land. You formulated a community yourself and you've done that. But again, you're going to be selling some of your products at the farmer's market. Those same principles. But again, you as an adult are going to be taking some of those same products and produces back to your community. You're going to give some to the senior who lives down the street. You're going to give some to the handicapped person that lives over there. You're going to give some to the struggling family that lives over here. Not all of it, but you got to have compassion. Everything is not simply about economics, because what that does, it makes you a more valued member of your community, and it makes you feel good about yourself. When you feel good about yourself, others feel good about you because they see the rays of sunshine that shines to you. That's just my Delphine philosophy. And they begin to value you because you begin to value yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're looking for. So people ask, the cause of recidivism. The cause of recidivism is you're not giving people the opportunity. As I enter and do research on this program and what we're doing and what we're planning on doing, I've been out to actually look at one in Oakland that is called Planting Justice. Beautiful. They've been in its operation for 13 years when I went 2 years ago. But it can work. It can be an absolute success. So I don't know what you asked me, but you can tell I've been talking too much.
No.
But that's another one of my heartbeats right there, is to start this program. So once we get some other things, I'm working on it now. Actually going to be hiring someone to help us to organize it. But the indebtedness that the criminal justice system has on a person's life for almost the rest of their life is amazing. I didn't know it until I started researching and going to events kind of like at NCCU, looking at the criminal justice and debt system. It's amazing that everybody who's been incarcerated don't go back. I mean, I'm serious. And so and anyway, that breaks my heart, because once there should be a time in this America that at some point what the debt that you paid for the debt that you've done or the crime you committed should be, paid in full at some point. But it doesn't never seem to be paid in full. So I don't know. We're going to help you pay it in full.
Amen.
I'm sorry. Seriously.
Well, I can genuinely talk to you guys all day, all night, but I understand it's getting a little dark out.
Yeah.
And the cold and the mosquitoes are eating us all up. My last and final question was to talk about UCAN's growth plans. I believe we've hit all the nails on the head. But if you guys have any lasting comments that you would like to share before we conclude this interview, if you don't have anything, that's fine, but this is just the last opportunity to say what's on your heart, what's on your mind, a call to action, anything.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview.
Oh, thank
and
you.
To be sitting under the stars and with us, and to hear our journey.
Yes, of
Even
course.
though I said my sister lost her mind, but just to take the time to hear from whence we came to where we are.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
It means a lot.
I do want to say, well, I thank you as well, but I do want to say the vision that I see right now is for this to be a community, and I'm going to stress the word community agriculture center. Okay? That's the goal. The goal is for this place to have year-round educational programming for all ages, starting from K through wherever to our seniors. To have senior program, to have all ages. The goal is for this to be a place where people can come and bring their families, where they can come and have special events if they like. So it really is in a place where they can come and honor the past by the actions of the present and the future, if that makes sense to you. That is what I foresee for this place. That's what it will be. I tell people I might not be here on land to see it with you, but that's okay. I can be looking down. I hope you'll take me. And I will tell you how pleased I am with what I see and the fact that the dream lives on, because it takes a community, it takes a village, it takes people who believe in what you're doing, and I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by those people. So,
Well, I can
and you as
definitely
well.
say for one.
Oh,
I want to add one thing.
excuse me.
We grow community one seed at a time. And what that really looks like is in that UCAN motto, right? So you can walk away, right, from this interview, right? We appreciate you, we thank you, right? That there's a place to where we honestly believe, right, in an affirmation to where I can, we can, you can. We talked about a lot of things, and it takes a commitment, right, to achieving that mission, right? But there's a place that people can come to, right? And we will love you, we will help you, we will work with you, we will laugh with you, right? And we will believe in you. Because I can, we can, you can.
I would say bring out your babies so they can learn how to plant and grow
Okay.
and all that.
I guess as a social media person, I have to say follow us on social media, subscribe to our newsletter, and visit our website just to learn more and get involved and come out to the farm to meet us all and just see in person all the work that we're doing.
Well, awesome. Well, Delphine, Lucille, Anaya, Justin, Zay, it has truly been a pleasure. I'm so glad that we were able to make this happen. And I'm so happy to get your story out there. And I hope and pray that you continue to attract people from the north, the south, the east, and the west. And you continue to grow, and you continue to grow communities one seed at a time. And you truly live out your vision and your mission. And you touch as many families as possible, because what you're standing for, what you stand for, food insecurity and trying to negate that as much as possible, it is beautiful. And to my knowledge and to my understanding, this is the only organization that I know of that is doing what you're doing in North Carolina.
Thank you.
So you guys are definitely trailblazers in your own genuine way. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and
Thank you.
thank you guys.